Welcome to the Biblical Worldview Show, a ministry of RenewaNation. I am Ben Shetler, and we are in our studios, our very hot studios. So we've got a hot episode coming to you. Will Allen is joining us all the way from Clearwater, Florida. Will, for a long period of time, lived as a woman. Remind me of how many years?
30 years.
For 30 years,
Yeah.
lived as Maggie. God miraculously saved him. If you want more of that story from start to finish, go and listen to the previous episode. But Will, I appreciate you taking time today. Definitely check out his book, Not Man Enough to Be a Woman, a powerful resource. But there are a lot of believers that have big questions as to how to speak the truth in love to those that they're disagreeing with. One thing that you mentioned in our previous episode is you said affirmation is like crack. So right out of like it's very addictive. It keeps you, it's like, wow, you affirm and then you go further. Then someone affirms and goes further. I want to pose to you, I want to hear what you would say. So I was just in New York City. I talked with a man who identifies as a woman. And I said, I'm like, don't you think this is harmful? And he said, let me stop you right there. He goes, if you're aware, about 40% of people that identify as trans wind up attempting suicide, and many are successful. He says that number is key when you look at young people, because if they're committing suicide, it's because they don't get the affirmation that they need. Well, you lived as a woman. What would you say to that? Because this is one of the biggest arguments, and I think it's why people are tuning in, because they're going, well, wait a second, my friend told me that if I don't affirm this person, I'm essentially putting a gun to their head. What would you say to that?
The transgender ideology is full of lies and contradictions. And I get a lot of hate for saying something like that. But that is the reality. What you just mentioned about the 40%, the 40% attempt suicide, that's true, and that's been the case for decades.
I think the number's higher, correct? But he said 40. It's 40. About 40. Okay.
And what they say is that gender affirming care saves lives. And that's what they're referring to as the suicide. Saves lives, prevents them, kids, from committing suicide.
And just a point of definition, because some people, by gender affirming care, what we're saying is affirmation, affirming someone who's opposite gender. And also, it's very deceptive.
But also puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries. Genital mutilating surgeries.
That all fits under the banner.
That's all fits in the banner of gender affirming care. One of the things that the trans movement is famous for is changing language. They modify all the words to mean something else. So instead of saying puberty blocker, because listen, the truth is, and they lie about it, they say puberty blockers are safe and reversible. No, they're not. Puberty blockers is the same drugs they give to prison inmates who have been convicted of sexual assault. They're chemically castrating. That's what the judge said. We're going to chemically castrate you. That's not safe. It's harmful. It's supposed to be harmful. Cross-sex hormones ruins your body. You're preventing teenagers, preventing pubescent children from going through puberty. And that's so harmful. And they're cutting the breasts off of girls, 13, 14, 15 years old. Chloe Cole, Clementine Breen, two examples. They both went on to puberty blockers at age 12. Cross-sex hormones at 13. Clementine had her breast removed at 14. Chloe had hers removed at 15. They both have detransitioned. Chloe detransitioned at 18 when she was on her own. She was pushed into it. She's testified in front of Congress saying she was influenced. She was pushed into it. She never wanted it.
Wow.
Kids are being influenced by parents who are also influenced by doctors. The transgender medical industry is a $2.1 billion industry in 2023.
Wow.
And that's expected to double by 2030.
Wow.
So is it any wonder why the doctors are coming after you? They want to make you a lifelong patient because you're going to need to take drugs for the rest of your life. And it's sick. It's evil. And the doctors will come at parents with this question: would you rather have an alive son or a dead daughter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that's emotional blackmail. That's evil.
Yeah.
That's cruel. The whole thing about this gender affirming care and the suicide rate, they say it saves lives, yet there's no evidence to show that. Recently, Tennessee banned gender affirming care for children. The ACLU sued the state, saying you can't do that. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court. The argument was heard late last year. The attorney for the ACLU was forced to concede that gender affirming care saves lives because there is no evidence to do so. So he had to, I should say she is transgender, going by the name of Chase Strangio,
Okay.
but she's a woman. She also had to concede. Go ahead.
No, go by concede. You mean like she rejected that claim?
Well, the claim that the transgender movement makes is that gender affirming care saves lives.
And
it prevents suicide, and it doesn't.
Yeah, and she couldn't prove it in court.
Yeah, because there's no studies that say that.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the most recent studies says it actually increases a little bit. Right? And what I would say to you, if somebody told me that, if gender affirming care reduces suicide rates, then what happened before we had gender affirming care for children? Because they didn't used to do this for children until just recently, right?
Right.
Well, what was the suicide rate among children before?
Yeah.
It was the same. No change.
Well, suicides have gone up for children.
Children in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not because and the suicide rates have gone up
because of all of this confusion.
There are hundreds, if not thousands, of young adult detransitioners right now that were transitioned as children, and they're mad. They're sterile. They're impotent. They have osteoporosis. They have heart problems and a whole myriad of other health issues. And they've never heard the gospel. They need the gospel. They're scarred for life, Ben. They need the gospel. And they don't know where to go. Churches need to get ready, man. They need to learn about this stuff and reach out to these people.
So as someone that has experienced that, what would you say? I mean, I find it interesting. And we can cut this out if you want.
No.
But like you're sitting here, you're like, man, I've been 6 years off hormones and I'm a man, I'm a biological man, but I'm still having hot flashes. 6 years free of. I mean, what would you say to someone if someone's going like, my niece, my nephew, someone? What would you say to them? You're saying I'm someone that has transitioned.
Yeah.
What do you say? Is that good? Is it evil?
Well, I mean, as you witnessed, before we got this started, we had to delay just a little bit because I was having a hot flash, man. I'm just breaking out into a sweat, face is red, and I've been off the hormones for over 6 years. And it's like I'm in this perpetual menopausal state, and of course they always happen at the worst times, everything hurts. I was on hormones for 30 years, the estrogens.
Yeah.
And I did have something. It wasn't osteoporosis. It was it was osteopenia, I think it's called.
Okay.
And it turns out I had a hyperactive parathyroid, so I had to have that removed. I don't know if any of that's related to the drugs that I was on, but I can tell you, I'm 63 right now. I probably shouldn't be hurting as much as I do. I mean, everything hurts. My joints, everything. I can't. When I stand up, I can't even stand up straight for a while. I have to walk it off.
Wow.
So maybe it's just old age. I am out of shape. I'm fat. I'm a little. I have this baby face now because I had my beard removed when I transitioned with electrolysis, and that was painful and expensive. 100 hours of that. So friends and family are asking me to lose weight now, but I'm a little reluctant because pot belly I've got is about the only masculine thing I've got going for me right now. So I'm a little reluctant to shed that. But yeah, people contact me all the time. Grieving parents, and my child is wants to transition or they have transitioned. What do I do? How do I handle this? It's so difficult. My heart goes out to these people. Yeah. And I just want to tell you another statistic real quick. The American College of Pediatricians a couple of years ago released a report stating that 80 to 95% of children with gender dysphoria, if left unmedically treated and unsocially transitioned, will grow out of it.
Yeah.
They resolve their issue by late adolescence. So let them. Now,
Yeah.
I was in the 5 to 15% that didn't grow out of it. And yeah, there's going to be some of those people. And we have to deal with that. But why do you want to do so much damage to the body to get the body straight with the mind? Why not deal with the mind?
Yeah.
To get the mind straight with the body? It doesn't make any sense because, like I said, you're ruining these bodies, scarring people for life.
Powerful.
And my heart just goes out to these folks, and some of them, the parents, they've already lost their kids to the trans movement, trans agenda, and they've transitioned. What I tell them is, obviously, love your child unceasingly, unconditionally, but don't affirm. You pray for them. Like I said before, I know that there were a lot of people praying for me.
Yeah.
And it took decades.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry to tell you, the child may not turn around right away.
It happened after both of your parents had passed?
Yeah.
Even.
Both my parents had passed.
Do you think your dad prayed that
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My father was devastated. I found out from my mother later that when he found out about this, that night that I talked to him in 1993 and told them what I was going to do, he grieved my loss. To him, I was dead. And he grieved as if I was dead. And for the rest of his life, he was never the same. I've seen, I visited a lot of family, and they show me pictures of my parents in their older years with, family, different events and things. And I've seen pictures of my father as he got older. Never once was he smiling. And there was just something in his eyes that just seemed dead, you know? Yeah. And I did that to him. I used to think, why can't he just accept me the way I am? I hear that a lot from people. We just want to be who we are. We want to be our true selves. Really? Well, then why are you trying to change everything about you then, if you're just trying to be yourself?
Yeah. One of the things we wanted to do on the Biblical Worldview show was not only give you great content and equip you with truth, but also expose you to resources that could help you as a parent, as a pastor, as a leader, or as an individual develop a biblical worldview. Jeff Keaton just talked about a book called 50 Things written by Dr. Josh Mulvihill. And I want to tell you about this book because I actually believe it is one of the greatest parenting books ever written, and that's not an oversell. The reason why 50 Things is so powerful is because not only does it help you equip your children with the biblical worldview, it allows you to do so with intentionality by focusing on 50 different things. This actually comes from a story that actually happened to the author. When he was 18 years old, he went with his parents to lunch, and they pulled out this old crumpled piece of paper. They slid it across the lunch table, and they said, "Josh, when we brought you home from the hospital, we determined as parents that there were 50 things we wanted to make sure that you knew that we taught you by the age of 18. Today's your 18th birthday. How'd we do?" And they gave him the actual list that they wrote. That intentionality allowed his parents to have goals regarding information. This book was based on that principle that you as a parent, starting from a young child all the way up, could have 50 things that you focus on to help equip your child with the biblical worldview. I challenge you, if you're a parent, drop everything and get this book. If you're a grandparent, buy this for your children so that your grandchildren can be equipped. I have numerous copies. I give this book out all the time as a gift. A great resource, 50 Things Every Child Needs to Know Before Leaving Home by Dr. Josh Mulvihill.
I couldn't see it before, but I can see it now, what I did to my father. My father was proud of his boy. I'm an only child. And, my boy did this and my boy did this. That's my boy. All of a sudden, his boy wanted to be a girl. Man, we had that moment on his deathbed. We reconciled. And he died the next day.
Mm.
But that was Maggie.
Yeah.
I wish he had lived long enough that he could see me now.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say this. My friend Jeff says this, and it's very powerful. Grandparents say, hey, we're not going to be around.
Mm-hmm.
How do we help our grandchildren?
Mm-hmm.
And he gives a few things, but one thing he always says, he goes, God stores up prayers in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And that we have got to, I don't think we realize how essential it is to pray for people that are confused about who they are.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely essential. And in your case, your parents did not live to see the prayer answered, but it was answered.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for believers. Let me change the subject a little bit. So you're about to go to a family gathering, and now your 8-year-old, your 10-year-old, your 12-year-old is about to be around their cousin, and your siblings or someone's affirming here, and it's in the family. How do we handle stuff like that? Do you have ideas or tips or things that you might
putting
share?
Pressure on you.
Yeah. It's like they're saying, well, you got to affirm, and now you're not loving, and
Right.
But you want to be with the family, and this is probably the most common question I get.
Yeah, it's tough. This is what transgenderism does. It destroys families.
Yeah. It destroys the individual, and then it goes on and destroys all the relationships. Yeah.
And but if you're strong in your convictions, you're a believer, and you know that God designed this person the way he designed them, as male or female, and stick to your convictions.
Yeah.
Be strong, be firm. Yes, people may hate you for it. But Jesus told us life's going to be difficult. Brother against brother, sister against sister, mother against daughter. He had a whole list of confrontations that are going to happen. Just even following Jesus. So yeah, even over this issue, that's going to happen. Like I said, so many prayed for me for decades, and now we're restored. There's another thing about transgenderism as well that
before we jump off, I do want to give some tips, and I want to see what you think about them, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So a couple things just to get really practical, and your advice is so powerful, Will, because it's like, hey, we have to hold what is true. And really the truth is what really loves people. You can't love a person with a lie. That doesn't work.
How are we to be stewards of truth while affirming a lie?
Yeah.
We can't do it.
So a few things I would say is as you're going to, especially, I feel like most of the time in this situation, it's a grandchild or a niece or nephew. And so one, I think you've got two groups that you have to protect. The first is your children. So one, your children, you've got to have that conversation with your child before, like you don't want a trans child to be the first person that opens your child up to all this if you know your child's going to be around. So one, I would say as a parent, and I want to get your feedback on this, I want to sit down with my child. I want to go to the book of Genesis and talk about the two kinds of people that God made, male and female, and how God values both and gives them difference. And the best man, or who's better, men or women, men are far better than women at being men, and women are better than men at being women. So there's not a competition in the genders. There is a design and God, and then you tailor that to the age. I would do this with my 4-year-old, and then you can be a little more specific with older kids. So having that conversation first, and then I think the second thing is if the child that's if it's 14, 15, you may not be able to address them directly, but have that conversation, I think, with the parent. So then it's
Yeah.
your whoever it is, the sibling to sibling, and just say, hey, look, you know what I believe, you know what we grew up with, and because I love you, I'm just coming to you saying this is not the best way for
Right.
your child. I'm not going to come to this family gathering with an axe to grind. That's not why I'm here. We're going to try to avoid the situation but I need you to know that this isn't the best path. And so to have that conversation outside and say, hey, we're going to prepare our child. They're not going to be antagonistic, but we have told them the truth. What do you think about that progression? And do you have some ideas you may be able to add to that?
Everything you said is spot on.
We've just doubled your honorarium for this.
A parent has to be involved in their children's lives. You have to know how they're being influenced and by who.
Yeah.
As a child, I grew up, we just went out in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And parents didn't.
But everybody was on the same page
They
culturally.
just said, be home for dinner.
Yeah.
And all the neighborhood kids, all the parents had discipline rights for all the kids. And the parents were all in touch with each other.
Yeah.
And when you left in the morning, mom would say, just be home by dinner. And if you're not here, just be someplace by dinner for dinner. You know?
It's different times now.
It's different times now. Who's teaching your children?
Yeah.
Today, we've got these multicolored hair, tatted and pierced teachers who are gay or trans. And that's who's teaching your children. That's who's influencing your children. I see some of these teachers online, and they do these videos. I mean, they have to understand that people are watching these things. The mentality, I just don't get this, but they're outing themselves, and they say, "Oh, half my class is trans or whatever." Okay, well, that's only because you've done this.
Yeah.
And I see videos of parents that are doing this to their children.
Yeah.
How can I don't know if you've ever heard of Megan Fox. She has 3 sons. All 3 are trans.
Yeah.
Who's the culprit here,
Yeah.
right? So you have to be aware of who's influencing your children. Your kid's going on a play date with, some friends. Find out who the friends are, what their beliefs are, where are they going? Are they taking your kid to drag queen story hour down at the library? Better be aware of that. So everything you said, and also just get more involved.
Yeah.
Because once it happens, the age at which you start talking to your child about this stuff, I don't know. I'm not a parent. I don't have any kids. Like I've said before, I'm not even that fond of kids, to be honest with you. They kind of scare me. But when I see a child in harm's way,
amen,
I jump into action, man.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about kids. They're being assaulted.
Yeah.
They're being targeted.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to get in the way.
Amen. That's what real love does.
Absolutely.
Real love does not affirm this untruth.
And
real
even
love,
when I'm talking to trans people, they say you're just being so hateful. I said, no, man. If I was hateful, I wouldn't even bother.
Yeah.
I love you, and I love you so much that I'm willing to speak truth.
Amen.
That's the stand we have to take, even if it's with your brother who has 3 kids, or a parent, or a very dear friend. That's the stand you have to take.
Yeah.
You love these people so much that you're willing to speak truth.
Yeah.
And truth is offensive.
Yeah. It's also the solution, and it'll set you free.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a setup.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if I hit it well enough, but there we go. Well, hey, we do have to wrap, but I just want to give you an opportunity to share anything else that's on your heart regarding this situation. And we brought some things up, but I didn't know if there's anything else you'd like to share, Will.
Well, check me out on X, and I'm usually posting every day, and I talk about conversations I've had with people. I do try to expose the lies, the contradictions of the transgender movement. There's just so many. I mentioned the attorney that argued the case before the Supreme Court. There were 5 things that she had to concede. 5 of the arguments they used to promote their agenda. She got cornered, and she had to give up 5 of those arguments because they're just lies.
Yeah.
She had no evidence for any of those things.
Yeah.
So it's just evil.
Will would be a phenomenal partner to you. So definitely follow him on social and get his book. It's very powerful, and we want to be here as well. Lies Aren't Love is a phenomenal resource. I think every young person needs to go through it. I think every believer does, because like about 50% of the days on the U.S. calendar now celebrate LGBTQ plus in some way,
It's more than
and
that.
we need a solid answer. When I was in Hoboken, you know how they used to paint the like it had worn out. It was still
Right.
there,
Yeah.
and they hadn't repainted it. It was the beginning of Pride, and I thought, I think there's two reasons for that. One is I think people are just tired.
Mhm.
They're tired of fighting the battle. But two is
Yeah.
I think our culture's
It's
kind of
fatigue.
accepted it now.
Well, you
I
hear
think we're
about
kind of
black fatigue or race
Yeah.
fatigue, and now there's trans fatigue.
yeah.
Of course, they try to use it to support their cause.
But I do think there's
Yeah.
been some victories on the
Mhm.
other side of that where
Mhm.
people are like, yeah, we're not passionate about fighting it because we've won
Right.
to some degree, right? And
Yeah.
and of course I think there's both on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, thank you so much for being with us, Will. I hope you come back on again. I
Sure.
love talking
Anytime.
with you, and I appreciate your desire to give truth, and yeah, I appreciate you so much as a brother in Christ.
Thanks, man. It's great being with you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
When it comes to Gen Z, you're actually talking about a generation that could impact the world in terms of technology, possibilities, in a way that no generation ever has. But also when you're talking about Gen Z, this is a generation that doesn't know how to find the truth, they don't know how to disagree, they don't understand human identity, they don't know how to fail, and they don't know how to use the Bible as an external creed. And so when people look at these problems, I feel like they kind of diagnose it one of two ways. On one hand, they recognize that we are in a truly apocalyptic scenario with Generation Z and the lies that are being pushed on them to a point where this will upend all of culture. Then on the other hand are people that tend to be a little bit of deniers. They say, well, yeah, Gen Z faces these issues, but it's not really as bad. Times have always been bad. It is very true that there is significant dangers facing Gen Z. But it is not true that there is nothing that we can do about it. And so at the Center for Truth and Love, we created this resource that we believe will help you understand the lies and the challenges that Gen Z is facing while equipping you to faithfully know what the Bible says and how you can lead them through those challenges. Hey, you're still here. Thank you so much for watching the Biblical Worldview Show. Our show is supported by financial investments from viewers just like you. If you'd like to make a donation to the Biblical Worldview Show, you can do so by going to RenewaNation.org. And don't forget to subscribe and follow our show.